Welcome to Introduction to Unix. I'm Professor Navarro. When programming bash shell scripts, sometimes we may generate some errors, and debugging the scripts can be helpful if we use the debugging tools that are available within bash. By adding the "-x flag in bash, it causes the shell to display and expand the command before it runs. The "-x flag only affects the script that is running in the shell. At the beginning of your script, you can also put set "-x to turn on debugging mode, and then use set +x to turn off debugging mode within the actual command line of the script, within the code of the script. In the example of wscript.sh, if we run that script, we will end up generating errors. Specifically, the error will be on this line, set number, in Vim to determine which line is generating the error. XW, what is XW? XW is not an actual utility or command, so it's generating an error. Well, if we run the script with "-x, in this case type bash, "-x in the name of the script, we'll get an output that shows us every single line of the program is running, regardless if it has a standard output or not. And this will help us identify where the problem might be. More often than not, errors may be generated by a line prior to the line that actually generates the error in the error message. Instead of running bash "-x, we could also add the "-x option, set "-x on a line before perhaps a control structure that we want to test, or a variable assignment or test, and then have only that section of the script generating the debug mode. Then we can turn it off with set +x. We previously talked about 3 key variables used in bash, and the PS4 variable can be used to change the identifier used with the debugging mode. In our case, the standard debugging mode is a plus sign that's generated for every line that the debug mode reads. Well, we could change that to something other than a plus by typing export PS4 equals, and then a new value within the quotes. For instance, export PS4 equals single quote $, single quote, to change the plus in the debug mode to a $. We can change it to any string we would like. The for in loop is very popular in bash. It allows us to step through each value of a given loop. There are a couple of ways to write loops when scripting. For loop -index is in argument list, then do some commands, then done. For is required, in is required, do is required, and done is required for the for in. The loop index will actually be a variable. The argument list will be a set of arguments, or perhaps even counting of arguments that will be read. In this example, for fruit, and fruit is our variable, in, followed by arguments apples, oranges, pears, bananas, do echo fruit, $fruit, because that's a variable, done. So for every iteration of this for loop, we are going to echo the variable fruit, which will change from apples to oranges to pears to bananas. At the completion of all of these arguments, we will finish with a done, and then the loop is completed. We can echo task completed or exit 0. For loop syntax resembles other languages' for loops more than the for in loop syntax. For instance, just the standard for loop -index, do followed by some commands, and done will assign the next argument in the argument list to the loop index. It does the commands, another argument in the argument list. If so, it will return back and check for that argument and do some more commands. If not, then it will go to done. So after the routine or the control structure passes the control to the done statement, the structure assigns the value of the second argument in the argument list to the loop index. Then it repeats the commands between the do and done one time for each argument in the argument list. When the structure exhausts the entire argument list, it passes control to the statement following done. Then example, for double of parentheses, count equals 0, semicolon. So we're creating a variable and starting it at 0. Count is less than or equal to 10, semicolon. Count plus equal 2. So we're going to increment the value of count by 2 for every iteration of this for control structure. Do echo minus n, and the minus n will negate any new line characters. Quote, $count. Count is a variable. It's going to start at 0 and increment by 2s. It will not generate a new line, as the echo usually does, unless we remove the minus n option. Done. Let's try it. We could also use the ambiguous file reference character asterisk to match the names of all files except hidden files in a working directory when using for loops. Prior to actually executing the for loop, the shell will expand the asterisk and uses the resulting list to assign successive values to the index. In this case, it will be variable I. So for the script dirfiles.sh, for I in asterisk. Well, that seems a bit ambiguous for I in asterisk, but that is the entire point of this. By being ambiguous, it's going to expand to all files in the current working path. Do if test, we're using a test utility, as you can see from the square braces, minus D if it is a directory and it exists. We're comparing $I, which will be all the values in the ambiguous reference of the asterisk. All the files and directories in your current working directory are being tested one at a time. If it is a directory, then echo $I. Feet. Then done. So if it's not a directory, we'll not echo it. If we didn't want to use our current working directory, we could implement a path name in front of the star and use star as the last part of the path. Try it with your home directory, or try it with the Etsy directory. Thank you.